Hey everybody, my name is Mike Miller. Welcome to Mike Miller Live. I appreciate everyone coming in. Hopefully we can uh, give you some good takeaways today. This is my first official show, and I am extremely excited. I've been planning this for a long time, and I have some pretty exciting stuff going on. I have a featured guest that's going to be on today that I'm really excited to talk to. I see him in the background there floating around on my other screen here. He's a great guy. But one of the first things that I want to do is really give an intro to myself. I know some of you have been following me, some of you haven't. Some may wonder, who's this Mike Miller guy? Why am I taking my lunchtime to talk to him? So let me just give you just a little bit of my background. So obviously, Mike Miller. I got into IT when I was about 18 or 19 years old. I started working for a dial-up internet provider. That was before broadband, and you had to dial in to the internet. And I took a job. I had no clue what I was doing, but I was reading out of a book, and I would help people who were trying to dial into the internet and maybe getting busy signals or whatever was going on. My job was to help them. I enjoyed it. It took me a long time to figure out what to do to be able to get outside of the book that I was trying to read. But I wanted to learn more. The nature of who I am is I'm a learner. I'm an expert of nothing, but I like to learn new things. So from there, I jumped into a network admin role where now I was helping with the network of this ISP, of this internet service provider that I was working for. Got into a systems admin role. And I think that's when I really found the passion, and I'm like, man, I like what I'm doing. I like this field. There's so much to learn. And I had one of my really good friends, lifelong friends since elementary, say, Mike, you need to get into security. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm in IT. Obviously, I'm in security. But I didn't realize back then that there were two separate worlds. So got into security. I took my first role as a SOC analyst. I did a contract doing intrusion detection for the FAA for a while. Then I grew a passion for the offensive side, so I rolled over to offense, learned that, got into GRC. I became a PCI QSA for a while, which if you're not familiar with what PCI is, it's the world of credit cards and how we protect credit cards. So I got into that for a while. And from there, I started pursuing some vCISO roles and so on. And so that's where I'm at today. So as I always say, I'm a master of none, but I have, I've been around the field for a while, and I can talk a little bit about a lot of different things. So that's a little bit of an intro of me and who I am and kind of where I come from and kind of how I got to where I am now. So for me, I did not want to start just, there's so many live streams out there. There's so many podcasts. And I just, for any of you that know me, sometimes I like to do stuff that's just a little bit different. So I didn't want just another podcast. So first, why the show of Mike Miller Live? The first thing is I try to be a positive person. I try to be a positive guy. My goal not just in my career, but in life, is if I run by someone at the grocery store and they're having a bad day, that maybe I can say something kind that might make their day, that might just change their attitude, just, even if it's for a split second. So my role I feel in life is to be positive light on people, right? You'll never find negative posts from me. I push people. I like to push people outside of the boundaries that they are used to being pushed. I like to sometimes get people outside of their comfort zone, because sometimes when you step outside of your comfort zone, you tend to learn more than what you ever thought you could. You tend to be able to accomplish more than what you ever thought that you could. The other thing is, and I don't let people give up. I don't like to let people give up on their dreams. I like to help people pursue the goals that they have. And so I try to be positive. I try to push people, and I don't give up. So over the next few months or year, for my show, I'm just going to call it season 1, right? my goal is to talk about some of the struggles that we are all faced with in not just this field, but in tech in general. And some of these are even for people that are in other positions. So I think you'll find that some of my advice and some of the people I'm going to bring on the show might not necessarily be in cybersecurity, but learning the knowledge that some of these people have can certainly help us benefit in our career and even in our life journey. But for this field in particular, the show is going to talk about certifications, right? And I'm not going to dive deep into any of these subjects now, but we're going to talk about certifications, right? Should we have certs? Should we not have certs? What certs should we pursue? Imposter syndrome, something I'm faced with every day. I have it right now as I'm doing this show. Should I be doing this show? Am I able to help people out? Like, every day I think, should I really be doing what I'm doing? Because I feel like I'm here, but there's other people at this level up here. But, I do it because I love it. Gatekeeping. Gatekeepers make people give up. So my goal is to help you pursue your goals through that gatekeeping so that when you run across someone that's negative and says, you know what, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe you ought to pursue something else. My goal is to teach you how to keep pushing. And I have an example of that here in a little bit. Red team, blue team, GRC, PCI, NIST, CMMC, like what is all of that stuff? It can be so confusing. And when people tell me they want to get into cybersecurity, or I have a passion for cybersecurity, I say, that's great. Cybersecurity is awesome. However, saying you want to be in cybersecurity is the same thing as saying, I want to play sports, right? Well, I love sports, but I'm not good at most of them, and I'm okay at a couple of them. So as I say in the field of cybersecurity, pick a sport. Maybe it's red team, maybe it's blue team, maybe it's purple team, maybe it's GRC or something else. And the way this field is evolving, there's so much opportunity. So, I say pick a sport or pick a swim lane and dive in and stay in that swim lane. We talk about FAANG. What is FAANG? Facebook, Amazon, who am I missing? Apple, Netflix, Google, these big companies that when people are faced with trying to get into the cybersecurity field, they feel like they have to work for those companies. They feel like they can't be successful if they can't work for those companies. And I'm here to tell you that according to the Chamber of Commerce, 99.9% of American businesses are small to medium-sized businesses, meaning under 500 people is how they define it. So yes, we can pursue these FAANG companies, but I'm telling you that you don't have to absolutely get a job at one of these companies, because you're missing out on so much opportunity by looking at the other 99.9% of the opportunities out there. The next one, branding. If any of you have connected with me or followed me for a while, you probably get tired of hearing me say branding. What is it? Branding is the ability to stand out, be you, right? Don't try. So I made a mistake early on, especially with LinkedIn, even, the past couple years of, I envied so many people that I really wanted to be like them. And so I started down that journey, and you find out really fast that, you know what, you can't do that. You have to be yourself. I'm myself. I'm Mike Miller. I'm an average guy, but I have maybe some weird things about me. But I'm transparent. I have vulnerabilities. I have things that I struggle with, even in the role that I work with now. All of these things that I've listed, the certs, the gatekeeping, the imposter syndrome, these are things that I deal with. And I'm telling you, even 25 years into your career, you are still absolutely going to struggle with some of these things. Some of the other topics that we're going to talk about during the season is I'm going to show probably weekly, not this week, but starting next week, featured positions that are open, right? So I'm going to pick a couple positions out there that I feel are great positions, and they might be for entry level, they might be for mid-level, they might be for senior level, but I'm going to try to highlight some of those positions. We're going to talk about how to make your LinkedIn profile stand out, how to make LinkedIn work for you, and how to instead of slinging, I use the term slinging resumes. When I was younger, I slinged resumes all over the place, and I crossed my fingers and I hope that someone calls me. My goal is to get you out of that mindset, and so that you have inbox messages coming to you, warm leads from recruiters, from hiring managers, from companies that are looking for talent. Instead of slinging resumes, my goal is to teach you that you don't have to do that. You don't have to fill out. If you do things right and properly, over time, you'll find that you don't have to fill out 200 applications, because if you do things right and you brand yourself right, you will have things coming to you. And that is my goal. And of course, I have some other surprises. I'm weird. I'm a nerd. I'm a geek, whatever it is. I'm all of those things. So I have some weird things. But the next thing that I want to talk about is, we fight through all of these things every day. Our job, the main point of my show, is to lift people up. And I have someone that I've been working with for about 6 months, and his name is Cameron Stefanik. He's not on the show today, but this was someone that, I made a post about him about a month or two ago, and he was at a point where this guy has worked so hard, come from a different background, wasn't in IT, has worked so hard. He's gained certifications. He's gained knowledge, man. He's dug in and worked as hard as he can. And he's faced a lot of obstacles. He's faced, being ghosted. He's faced recruiters that aren't very kind and so on. And he's come to me several times and he said, Mike, I don't think I can do this anymore. I got to give up. I got to go do something else. I wouldn't let him do that. I got a message this morning, and I'm just going to show his picture. Cameron Stefanik probably has the newest job offer on the market right now. He was just hired by a company. I'm not going to mention the name or anything, but he just got his offer letter today. And this is just a case of positivity, the case of us as a community helping lift people up. He's a great guy. Again, I've been working with him for about 6 months. He struggled with each of these things that I read off. And again, he's just proof in the pudding, as they say, of what can happen if you push forward and don't let things like gatekeepers or don't let negative people influence you. So I told you why Mike Miller Live, but the question now is, so how? So this isn't my show, right? This is our show as a community. My goal, again, is that, I've worked for the past year to help us kind of build a community to rally around people. So one, being a positive voice, right? Positive comments, positive interaction, lifting people up when they're down. But not only that, celebrating when an accomplishment is achieved. Again, I want real results with this live or podcast or whatever you want to call this, my show. But we are a team. This isn't me. It's us as a community. Positive engagement, positive community. So I have someone that I met recently through LinkedIn. His name is Michael Cassidy. He is a fantastic guy. You've probably seen him around. He is not new to LinkedIn. He is an AWS Cloud Architecture Engineer. But before I bring him on stage, I do have a blurb that I'm going to read. I first want to thank, we did pick up a sponsor for the show called GRC Academy, and the website is grcacademy.io. And these guys, I want to give a special thanks to Jacob Hill from GRC Academy, who was our first sponsor for the show. And if you don't know anything about GRC Academy, the demand for specialists in GRC right now, governance, risk, and compliance, is greater than it ever has been. With compliance being a huge driver for security, the number of careers in GRC are just taking off. GRC Academy is the place to start your governance, risk, and compliance career. These guys, they have it together. They've designed some courses. I've worked with Jacob. After completing the online CMMC course at GRC Academy, you'll definitely have a solid background on the Department of Defense's security standard for defense contractors. And I'm going to share the link here in a little bit. He is offering a code for today. The class is normally about $150. I have a code that I'm going to put in the comments later that will allow you to get $50 off the class. GRC is absolutely in demand right now, and you don't have to be crazy technical to get in GRC. And these are some of the things that we're going to talk about through the episode. But to move on, I think Michael is in the background somewhere. I'm going to see if I can bring him into the show here.
I'm ready, Mike. Can you hear
Michael,
me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm trying to have a show. What are you doing?
I'm ready. I'm here for the fitness challenge.
Well, you have a great name, by the way.
So do you.
Michael. Everybody calls me Mike, except for my wife. She won't call me Mike. She calls me Michael. So I'm relearning my name as Michael. Normally, it was previously just been my mom, and that was about it. But thank you for being on the show, Michael. We met not too long ago, and I am really excited to have people in the show meet you here today. You've been around LinkedIn a while. I've seen one thing that I like about you is, man, you're you. You don't copy. You are you. You have a great personality that I see on a platform, and I've had fun getting to know you. So, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. How long were you holding that? What was that?
Well, just for a few minutes, I was starting to get the blood accumulating in my brain, so it was tough. But I'd still like to do a fitness challenge if you're up for it.
A fitness challenge? Well, I ate a Snickers bar a little bit ago, so I don't know if that's going to help me. I don't know if I was ready for a fitness challenge.
Well, how about this? How about this? You do push-ups, and I'll do handstand push-ups, and we'll see who can do more.
Push-ups.
Yeah.
How many push-ups do I have to do?
I don't know. I have to see how many handstand push-ups I can do.
All right. So if I pull one push-up off, like, do I win something?
Just knowing that you beat the world's fittest AWS infrastructure engineer.
Well, I can tell you, there's no chance that I'm gonna. Are we doing this?
Yeah. This is why I thought I was on the show.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But hey,
so
I am.
I'll do handstand push-ups. I will keep the cadence, and we'll see how many we can do.
Okay.
I'm good.
Right. Well, it won't be many. All right. So what do I do?
Just get on the ground. Get on the ground, Mike.
All right.
I'm gonna tuck in my shirt again. I shouldn't have.
All right. Here we go. Let me push my chair out of the way. Trust me, this won't take long for people that are going to be extremely bored by trying to watch me do a push-up. What do I do?
Are you ready? Get proper form in a plank position, arms straight. Right. Now you touch your chest to the ground, and I'm going to touch my head to the ground. All right?
Okay.
All right.
I'll go with you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'm sweating.
4.
I need a donut.
I think you should count 5.
All right, let's do 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh man, that was tough.
So now my face is going to be red for the rest of the.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sweating. So that kind of brings me right into this. Tell me about yourself. I know you're into fitness, which anyone who listen to me, I'm trying to catch my breath here. Anyone who works in our field is in front of a computer a lot, right? I have this chair that I bought on Amazon, and I sit in this chair all the time. So I see a guy like you come along, and you're very inspiring. The video this morning of you running with a laptop in the snow was incredible. So tell me about it. Tell me your purpose.
So I got into tech. I guess I can start there. I got into tech many months ago. I started off trading cryptocurrencies a number of years ago, and that kind of got me interested in tech. I was interested in the technology behind, the magic internet money. So once the pandemic hit and my trade show business started going down, I started to get serious about it. One of my friends took this boot camp. It was called Level Up in Tech. So I decided to do that too. there we learned a lot of different things about different technologies, and eventually now I became a cloud infrastructure engineer. I'm out of breath too. But so now that I'm in tech, I realize that in general, not everyone obviously, but in general, people in tech tend to not take care of themselves as well as they should. I mean, a lot of, the general population, a lot of people don't take care of themselves like they should. But especially in tech, when you're hunched over your computer, looking at this screen all day long, and there are plenty of ways you can stay fit and healthy. And I found out, since working remotely, you have an opportunity to be healthier than ever if you do the right things. So, I mean, just for example, quick, there are sit-stand desks you can buy, and I think that's a great tool just to get off your butt, because when you're sitting, you're shortening your hip flexors, you're shortening your hamstrings, and that leads to all kinds of postural issues. Can I show you this? I have this mini stepper. I think it's kind of cool.
As long as I don't have to do anything else.
No, you don't have to do it.
All right.
So I have this mini stepper here. It's kind of interesting. People have like under the desk treadmills, but I got this thing because it's kind of cheap.
Okay.
You can see it. This is the my little demonstration. So I can do this while I type on the computer.
I like that.
So that's super helpful during the day, just to stay active while I'm working.
And I think even the nature of I am definitely not a health expert at all, but I have a feeling that just standing instead of sitting makes a big difference. So my work, and I actually said no, because I didn't want them to have the expense, but now I'm like rethinking it. My work, when I started with them, they said, "Do you want a standing desk? Do you want a riser?" And I'm like, "No, that's crazy. Why would I want that?" And so I said no. But now, like, I'm rethinking that, because, again, I sit in this chair, and I'll be honest, like, I have tailbone issues because of the time that I sit in this chair. And in fact, I went and looked this particular chair up on Amazon and typed tailbone, and there's like a ton of different responses. Oh, yeah, my tailbone hurts too. So I think it's just trying to just be more active. I love your mindset, right? Because you can do things that doesn't take away from your job. So getting back to your career, what does a day look like for you? So tell me about your position. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I work at a company called Map Your Show. They partner with different shows to provide online directories, floor plans, managing booth spaces. So I'm a cloud infrastructure engineer. We work with AWS. Currently, I'm doing a lot with Terraform, deploying infrastructure as code to their new SSO environment. It's been really great. Everyone there is really great. My first week, they flew me out to their headquarters so I could have some in-person training. All really great people. The company culture is amazing. We don't have too many meetings, at least for me right now. So I like that time to actually get work done. Yeah, I mean, and they're pretty flexible. Great, work-life balance. But it's been really great so far.
So, where do you see yourself doing this particular? Like, what's your long-term goal? Do you see yourself doing this particular thing for a long time?
Yeah, I do. I like what I'm doing right now. I also like teaching. I found that while I was studying to become a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, that documenting personal projects or just documenting what you're learning is a great way to teach other people who are a few steps behind you, and then because of that, you learn even more.
So let me ask this: you mentioned the school that you went to. Have you pursued? And I should have looked at your profile closer. This is one part that I didn't look at. Talk to me about certifications for a minute, and whether you've pursued that route, what certifications, whether it would have helped you get to where you are, because everybody's opinion is different. I would love to hear yours.
Yeah. So when I was going to start studying to be in tech, I could have gone the self-study route, but I decided to do this boot camp. I knew someone who did it, and it was super successful for them. So at Level Up in Tech is the boot camp I took, and they say up front, you don't need us. It is possible to do this by yourself, but we can provide a lot of value for you, so you can reach that goal faster, and you have accountability. So in that program, I got 4 different certifications. I got a Linux certification, two AWS certifications, and a Terraform certification. And I think, I mean, I know people have all kinds of opinions about it, but for me, I think the documentation was the biggest part. I think certifications were important, and they let people know that you took a test. But beyond that, I think projects, I write a lot of my projects and then publish them on Medium. Okay. I think that was probably that, and LinkedIn. That was the biggest factors in me getting a job.
So now that you're in that position, walk me through a day. What does an average day as an AWS infrastructure cloud engineer?
So for example, this morning, I like to get on pretty early. MapYourShow is pretty flexible about when I can start. And they don't track your every move or whatever, but so I log on, I check the Fusion reactors, I go into AWS, and I start writing code for Terraform. For example, I'm making different code pipelines for different repos we have in GitHub. So I'm working on various things throughout the day. It's not like super stressful, and I don't know. It's just, yeah. So it varies day to day, but right now I'm working on a lot of Terraform.
Awesome. And you are fully remote.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Okay. So one thing that I picked up on that you said was, they don't monitor every move. So there are companies out there that will micromanage you to death. They will try to make every decision for you and not let you use your talent and knowledge to provide value to that company. So in your position, it sounds like you have some of the freedoms that you need to be able to fully do your position. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. And then I mean, this only might apply to like a remote job, but I'm able to, and this is one of the reasons I got into tech, is so I could more easily get a remote job, because I have children, I have little kids, and so now I'm not missing anything. Like if I'm not missing the important things in life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, we have a couple more questions for Michael. In the meantime, in the comments, I do want to take some questions. If you have questions for Michael, feel free to type them in there while we keep going. And if we see some good questions, we are definitely going to pursue those. In the meantime, I'm going to take this moment right here and let everybody know, because I said I like surprises. I like making people's day. So I'm not probably at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to pick one person, and I am going to, and it's going to be, has to be someone who's engaging, who's commenting, who's asking good questions. They are absolutely going to get these Kraft macaroni and cheese socks. I'll be a little jealous because I don't have a pair of these, but I will have these sent directly to you. You just have to let me know what size. But again, it's just a small surprise. But I tell you, if you get these incredible Kraft macaroni and cheese socks, you absolutely have to do a sock selfie, right? And show us how much you like these macaroni and cheese socks. So again, you have to engage. You have to ask questions. From there, I'm going to take a comment here from Chris. And Michael, this one's going to be for you. He says, what is the first certification that you would recommend to get into the AWS world?
I think I know there's the cloud practitioner, and that's the least difficult. I've heard. For me, I got the certified developer associate and the solutions architect associate. I think it just depends on what you want to get into. I really like the architecture side of things. I don't know how, I don't know how people weigh the different certifications. Like if one is more important than the other. I would say the cloud practitioner isn't super difficult. I mean, maybe it is for some people, but I think going for the developer associate or the solutions architect is probably the way to go, in my opinion, in my limited opinion.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that. So, your work is mainly in AWS, but we all know there's a ton of opportunity out there with the Azure platform, however you want to say it. If someone were to pursue the cloud, because I get this question all the time, they say, Mike, should I pursue AWS? Should I pursue Azure? I don't know which way to go. So let me ask, if you have skills in AWS cloud, are some of those skills transferable if someone were to find something within, an opportunity to work with Azure?
I think so. I think they're all the basic like template or outline is pretty similar. So if you learn one of them, it's probably pretty easy to learn another one. I mean, I only know AWS, but I think, and then in terms of which one to study, once again, and this is just my opinion, I think AWS is great. I've heard 90% of companies in the cloud use AWS. But I think I'm thinking less people apply to the other platforms like Azure and Google Cloud. So maybe that might be a way to go. I know people like one more than the other. I'm just, AWS was just the one that I happened to go with.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this takes me back to a post that I made, I think it was last week, where sometimes people get so wrapped up in the suite of software or the brand or the platform, and they forget to learn the fundamentals. And I'll just bring this up because I posted about it last week, and I felt pretty passionate when I wrote the post. If there's one thing, and I'm not going to say it hasn't changed because I could be corrected on that. It's changed some, but not very much. TCP/IP, right? TCP/IP is the foundation. It's the motor, right, of the internet. And I try to tell people, understand the fundamentals. If you can understand TCP/IP, packet analysis, being able to look at a packet, understand the protocols in the packet, understand the source, the destination, the payload, like what's going on in the packet. If you start with those basics, then you can grow from there. Because no matter if it's Azure, AWS, or we even talk about SIMs, right? You got Splunk, you have all these different packages of software, and everyone says this is what I need to learn. No, learn the fundamentals, because if you understand how the motor works, if you understand TCP/IP, it doesn't matter what car the motor is put in, you can drive the car, right? It's going to take you a while to figure out, how to work the windows, where the options are, how to work the windshield wipers, but you know how the motor works. You know how the car drives. So yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, and I think that helps people understand your point better. For me, like learning Linux was probably the backbone of a lot of what I was going to do after that. So if you're getting in the cloud, like Linux is probably one of the first things you want to look at also.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And Jonathan Copeland here, and I agree with this. Is Mike Miller also knowing DNS, NTP, 7-layer stack? Yes, absolutely. The more knowledge that you have, whether it's even with certifications, I always say the certification should be the byproduct of the knowledge that you have. You shouldn't be going for the cert to have the cert and hang it on the wall. You're going for the cert for the knowledge. The cert, the thing that's hanging on the wall, is a byproduct of the knowledge that you should have from getting that cert. So I agree. All of these are things that you learn as you're going through to get certs, and you don't absolutely have to have them. But again, it all goes back to starting with fundamentals and building from there, right? And the
Mhm.
other thing is, and I think you're proof of this too, everybody has a different path. There's no blueprint. I got into IT my way. You got into IT your way. Everybody is different. There's no right way and there's no wrong way as long as you are accumulating knowledge. So if you guys have more questions, feel free. The comments are buzzing pretty quick. I apologize if I miss them, but shoot them in here. Michael, I would like to ask you if you knew someone, if someone were to walk up to you tomorrow, and I envy you, and I have a feeling that a lot of people envy you, and they were saying, Michael, I want to be you, right? I want to have a career like yours in cloud. What would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is get a LinkedIn, honestly. I think building a community and connections and even a personal brand on LinkedIn was one of the main reasons I got job interviews and I landed a job. So I would say that's one of the most important things. For me, obviously, the boot camp worked, but like you said, studying the basics. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. LinkedIn is such a big thing nowadays, and I feel like people are behind who aren't on it. So I kind of created a personal brand, so people started to know who I was.
Yep. So tell me about that, because I explain it, right? But not everybody gets it. When you say you create your own personal brand, what do you mean by that?
So my passion is health and fitness. And as I started LinkedIn in February of 2022, and I started looking for a job, that was the purpose of it. So I talked about tech here and there. I talked about some of the projects I did, some of the medium articles I wrote. And as I got further in, I was like, this could be a good place to start something else, to make it more personal. So I started like talking about fitness and kind of incorporating that into my tech stuff. So then I kind of became like a fitness and tech guy. And then it kind of it morphed. It ended up morphing into something else entirely. But because I did that and made connections, legitimate, real connections, I think that definitely helped me to get a job.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think you're proof of. Lindsay here made a comment, and I love this. Says building a brand and a great profile on LinkedIn will make you recession proof, and I preach this too, and I think you're proof of that as well. So what does that mean? What does recession proof mean? So here's what I'll say: there are so many of us that are in positions that we love, right? But I think the pandemic taught us that you can just never be sure. You don't know what next year holds. And people tend to get comfortable in their positions. And I like to say that LinkedIn is my insurance policy. No, it's not a real insurance policy, right? But it's my insurance policy that the company, and look at this transition. The company that I work for now, which is awesome, and I got to show them on the screen. Appalachia Technologies. We are an MSSP in Pennsylvania, great company. These guys actually acquired my company that I spent about 12 years building. They are a fantastic company. I personally don't have any plans on ever leaving them. However, I also don't get too comfortable. LinkedIn is my insurance policy so that if for some reason something happened and I lost my job, maybe it was the economy, what have you, I'm hoping that I can turn to LinkedIn, and because I have a brand built there, that I already have people that have been reaching out to me for a year saying, hey, Mike, or hey, Michael, we got these awesome opportunities for you. I always like to say it's good to have a couple things on deck and never take anything for granted. So Lindsay's absolutely right. Building a brand and a great profile on LinkedIn will help you absolutely become recession proof. And I couldn't have said that any better at all. Would you agree with that, Michael?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to see if there's any other good questions in the David Meese points out here. Fundamentals are so important. For example, if you build a house without having fundamental knowledge, it will fall apart in no time. And again, learn to understand the fundamentals not just the software suite. Because if you find yourself out there that you don't understand anything except you know how to use Splunk really well, you could kind of get yourself in trouble, because you need to understand how that motor works. You need to understand those fundamentals. So I'm going to mention real quick, I have also going to take someone from the comments here afterward. GRC Academy, again, my show sponsor, is also giving away one free voucher for a class. So I'm going to be picking one person who's asked questions, who's engaging, what have you. John from GRC Academy has been awesome. It's been awesome to get to know. It is an extremely good opportunity. And, I personally would back it, because I think gaining knowledge in GRC is definitely going to help you pursue, a career, especially if you are not really technical. So Christina asked a question here, Michael, and maybe we can both talk about this. She says, I know certifications are important, but do you advise people to get a master's degree in cybersecurity or a related field to get the job that they're looking for? I have my opinion. I'd love to hear yours.
I guess my opinion is that you don't need a master's degree to get into cybersecurity. I saw someone else's question up there earlier about what if you don't have a tech background, and that's my case. I built exhibits at trade shows with my hands for over a decade, and I had no knowledge of what the cloud was. And so in a matter of a year, I went from not knowing what the cloud was to having a role in tech. So I mean, in my case, and I feel like in a lot of people's cases, you probably don't need that.
I agree, and I think Shay's comment even speaks to that as well. It's learning something new every day. And so I'll give my opinion as well about the master's degree. So I don't have one, so I can't speak to, I can't speak about it like someone with the master's could speak of it. However, here's what I'll say. I've been in the field for 25 years. I've enjoyed what I've done. The only thing I'll say is I envy anybody who has a master's degree that they've put the work in. If you're trying to make a decision on going that route, make sure that you're able to get the ROI, the return on investment. That's the only thing that I'll say. Make sure that it is going to benefit you in the way that you need benefited, because it is a huge commitment, not only academically but financially, as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
absolutely. If Michael, I appreciate having you on the show. It has been fantastic. What would you want to say to the crowd before? And I have a couple little surprises after you leave here. But what would you say to the crowd before you leave? People that are they're dying to consume the knowledge that you have.
I would say start. The hardest thing to do is to start. But once you start, you have momentum on your side. And as long as you continue to learn and continue to try to grow, I guess, my biggest things are, learning the basics, documentation, LinkedIn. And I think if you go for it and give it your best effort, you can do it.
Yeah, I agree. And and again, surround yourself with people that will support you. Surround yourself with a good community of people that will absolutely try to bring you back up when someone's bringing you down. There's a lot of knowledge on this platform from people. It's just been so someone says you have to do 10 more handstand push-ups before you leave. I'm not doing any more push-ups. I can tell you that. So again, for those who just joined here, haven't been in here that long, I'm picking one person from the comments, and I'm going to reach out to them because I'm going to send them these awesome Kraft macaroni and cheese. These are definitely, Michael, would you say these are the cheesiest socks you could find?
That's the word that comes to mind.
Absolutely. My kids would love these. So to summarize the show today, again, this is my first episode of Mike Miller Live. Our goal every week is to bring people on the show, give some real life examples, help people live out their goals, live out their dreams. I'm telling you, even if you're not in cybersecurity, I really feel that the people that we'll have on this show will be able to benefit you even in the journey that you're pursuing. Here's what I would say: be you, be different, and you don't always have to follow what everybody else is doing. So here's the cool surprise that I have. And this is why I love the LinkedIn platform, because I have met so many fantastic people through this platform for the past year, 13 months or so. I got to go to LinkedIn headquarters. I got to do some stuff with them. It's just been amazing. So there is a super nice fellow that I know he's here somewhere. His name is Shay. He is from the FBI. He has agreed to be on the episode next week. And how cool is it going to be able to talk to someone directly that's in cybersecurity, one of the top guys, and he's going to talk to us about pursuing a career in the FBI. This guy's been in the trenches. This guy has been around, and he's in the FBI, but he's such a positive influence on this platform. I know he engages with all of my posts, and I see it out there. And again, like, it just makes me want to hug the guy, right? When you see all this positive engagement and you see what he's doing. And so he reached out to me a couple of days ago, and he says, Mike, I would love to be on the show that you're starting. And I'm like, you're on, because this is exactly the goal of the show, is to help people out. So the next show, which is going to be next Wednesday at 12 to 1 Eastern, we are going to have Shay on the program, and he is going to be fantastic. Guys and girls, before you leave, please check out Michael Cassidy's LinkedIn page or LinkedIn profile. Don't follow him, but connect to him. Get to know him. When you connect to someone, when you follow someone, you know them, but they don't know you, right?
Right.
I tell people, I don't want you to follow me. I want you to connect to me, because I don't want you just to know me. I can't help you unless I know you. So make that connection. It's a two-way handshake, not a three-way handshake like TCP/IP. It's a two-way handshake so that he can get to know you, you can get to know him, and you can be part of each other's networks. And I hope, Michael, that your LinkedIn profile is already blowing up. Once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I especially want to thank Michael Cassidy for his time today and nearly giving me a heart attack with some push-ups. I really want to thank GRC Academy, website grcacademy.io, which I'll make sure everything's in the comments for you. At the end of this, I'm giving away my Kraft macaroni and cheese socks, and I'm giving away a free class with GRC Academy. Feel free to inbox me if you want to. And the code that I already put in the comments, but I'll make sure it's in there, is a code, a link that you can put in the code Mike and get $50 off the class. So, Michael, is there anything else that you would like to add before we tune out?
If anyone knows anyone from American Ninja Warrior, send them my way. I'm trying to get on the show.
Absolutely. And I told Michael, I said he's trying to get on American Ninja Warrior. And I said, if you get on there, like, I will absolutely try to reach out to everybody I know at LinkedIn HQ and try to get you some good exposure.
So. No, but thank you, Mike, for having me on the show. I'm really honored, and I experiencing imposter syndrome as I sit here with you.
Me too.
I really appreciate it. I thank you so much, and I look forward to getting to know you better, becoming friends. We're already friends here.
Absolutely. And Michael, you're a rock star, and I want to thank everyone who's engaged too. You guys are all rock stars. You all lift and support each other. It is a great community that we've built. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. And we will see you next Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST. And don't miss out. Take care, guys. See you, Michael.
Yeah.